Hi, this is Will Cowing from Adaptive Chicago Productions. We have a very interesting guest with us today, Joel Margolis. And can you give us a little information about yourself?
Although I'm now a disabled person, I was a working person for many years, and I had a career for many years in the field of housing and real estate management and development, including extensive involvement with subsidized housing.
Well, you were with HUD to begin with, weren't you?
Yes, I did about 4.5 or 5 years with HUD, and then went into private sector real estate management and development.
Okay, now how does this involve disabilities?
At HUD, I worked extensively on subsidized property, and when I did go into private sector real estate management and development, also there I was deeply involved with subsidized properties. So that in and of itself brought me in contact, at least in some cases, with disabled individuals.
Okay, now when you talk about subsidized housing, now people with disabilities are subsidized housing, usually do use subsidized housing a lot, don't they?
They do, but it's important to understand that subsidized housing from the federal government comes through a variety of different sources. It's important to know the differences between those sources. Disabled people can and do find subsidized housing under 3 different programs.
Okay, now that you made it, I remember talking to you about this. So what are those 3 programs?
Some disabled individuals will find housing on their own, living independently in what are known as Section 8 buildings.
Okay, now there are problems with Section 8. A lot of times landlords don't want to take Section 8 people. Now, do they have to take you if you're Section 8?
There are 2 different types of Section 8. Let's be clear on that. There are buildings where the Section 8 subsidy rides with the building, okay? There are also what are known as Section 8 vouchers, where the individual has a voucher through the Section 8 program, which they can use theoretically, okay, in any private sector building. However, they may encounter some difficulties there. In all cases, though, remember that an individual seeking subsidy through Section 8 cannot expect to automatically find specialized facilities for the disabled.
Okay, well, let me stop you there. Now, so if you are a person with low income, you might qualify for Section 8, and you might also have a disability.
Yes. However, Section 8 is for a wide variety of low-income people, both the abled and the disabled. Most people living in Section 8 housing are not disabled. There are 2 other programs, however, which you should know about because they both serve the disabled, but to varying extents.
Okay, so if you are say a person with a Section 8, you could go to a Section 8 building, and then that's automatic. But if you have a voucher, that's not automatic.
If you have a voucher, you will have to go out into the private sector and look for an apartment in a conventional apartment building on your own. Okay? That's a very different type of situation from going to a building which is a Section 8 building where the subsidy rides with the building, and anyone who lives there must qualify for Section 8.
Okay, so you qualify for Section 8 and you have a disability, but that does not mean that the apartment you'll get is going to be set up for you to help you.
No guarantee of that whatsoever. Section 8 takes a very wide variety of low-income people. If you want housing specifically designed to help the disabled, you should be looking at either a Section 202 building that was designated for the disabled, or even more so, a Section 811 building.
All right, so you have a disability and you want to get an apartment that is set up for your disability to make life easier for you. So the Section 8 is sort of like a rolling the dice.
Exactly.
But if you go to the 202 or the 811, that's the 2 that you should really concentrate. Now, who would you go to ask for this? Is there someone you would go to and HUD or something?
Now, to find buildings like this, the best place to start is a website called HUD Illinois. Assuming you have internet access, if you simply go to the Google homepage and type in HUD space Illinois, one of the 3 or 4 websites that comes up first will be the website of the Illinois office of the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, which is usually known by its acronym HUD.
Okay, so you are looking for an apartment, you have a disability, and you go to your computer, you type in HUD
Illinois.
space, then the whole name Illinois,
Right.
and then possible websites will come up.
Right. You want to look for the website which is the official website of the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development Illinois office. That will not be hard to find. Once you get to that website, you'll see a menu that offers you a variety of choices. What you want to do is find the point on the menu, okay, that enables you to search for subsidized housing, okay?
All right, so you get a menu, and then the menu will, you scroll on the menu until you find you want subsidized housing.
Or something that says find an apartment or find a building.
Okay.
Exactly. That will take you to another website. Now there you will be asked what type of housing you're looking for, and there will be a drop-down menu that has 4 or 5 different categories, such as elderly, family, individual, and one of the categories is disabled. Click on disabled.
Okay, now if you are computer illiterate, is there a navigator somewhere that you can go to that will help you find this?
If you're computer illiterate, why bother with the computer at this point? Try contacting a housing counselor.
Okay, so you would call HUD and ask for a housing counselor?
HUD should be able to supply you with a list of HUD-approved housing counselors. These are organizations that are not part of HUD itself. They're private not-for-profits typically, but they have been certified by HUD as knowledgeable in the area of subsidized housing.
Okay, very good. Now, let's make the distinction between 202 and 811. Now, 202, I understand, is for people that are elderly or disabled or both.
Yes. 202 was intended primarily for the elderly, okay? Most Section 202 buildings are primarily for the elderly, although they will accept disabled applicants. What's of more interest to us, for our purposes here, is that there was a smaller percentage of 202 buildings that were specified for the non-elderly disabled. And in those buildings, 202 for the disabled, there you can expect to find either physical designs specifically adapted for the physically impaired or buildings that offer social services for the mentally impaired. An example of the physically impaired 202 would be a building such as the DARE building on East 55th Street in Hyde Park that was funded under 202.
Okay, now you're an elderly couple and you sell your house, you want to get one of these apartments, you move in and then you become disabled. Is the apartment already set up for that, to deal with that, or would they charge?
Not if it is a typical 202, okay? If you have entered a 202 that is designed for the non-disabled elderly, you cannot expect to find specific help for the disabled in a building like that. Now, in a building like that, there may be a small percentage of disabled individuals because a building like that will accept applications from the disabled. So those disabled who are capable of independent living and who find, for instance, a 202 for the elderly, let's say, in a location that they particularly like, or it's near a church or synagogue that's particularly important to them, they can apply to a building like that. And if the building management finds that they're capable of independent living, they meet the income limits, they can be accepted and live there, okay? However, moving into a building like that, you really should be a disabled person who really is capable of independent living, or make your own arrangements for social services.
Okay, now there are buildings that have the social services, though.
There are a limited number of 202s, such as the Dare building that I just mentioned on 55th Street, that were designed explicitly for the disabled. But the much greater vehicle for housing the disabled is the Section 811 program, which each year funds buildings specifically and only for the disabled.
Okay, so 811, the 811 buildings are very distinct and different from the 202s then.
Most 202s do not meet the standards of service to the disability that an 811 building will have.
So an 811 is, if you are a non-elderly disabled person, your best bet would be the what? The
Section 811 is your best bet.
Section 811 is your best bet, right?
Don't rule out the 202s, because some of them were designated to help the elderly, but since the Section 811 was created, there are no new 202s being funded for the elderly, and therefore the Section 811 is your best bet.
Okay, now you said something, the mentally impaired. What's the story
You
there?
can find some Section 811s that were designed specifically for the mentally impaired. You can find some other Section 811s that were designed specifically for the physically impaired. And then there are Section 811s that will take both. So you'll have to go shopping, so to speak.
I see. Okay, okay. Now, this is very interesting. Now, what about borderline disabilities? I want to tell you, well, how do they determine whether your disability is sufficient? You said
now, in a Section 811 building, okay, you must have either a physical disability that impedes your functioning so that it is very difficult for you to function independently in daily life, or a chronic mental illness. Okay, it's important to know, okay, that there are some conditions which you may consider disabled but do not qualify you for a Section 811 building.
What's an example of that?
There are three categories that under that heading, okay? If your only disability is alcoholism, that in and of itself, if you have no other disability, does not qualify you for an 811 building. In addition, if you have a problem of substance abuse, drug dependency, if that is your only disability, even though a state-level agency may have categorized you as disabled, drug dependency just by itself does not qualify you as disabled for the Section 811 program.
So drugs or alcohol alone won't get you in there.
And there's a third category. Those who are HIV positive and have developed AIDS, if that is the only disability, that in and of itself will not get you into an 811 building. Having said that, let me add one other important distinction. If, for instance, you have a very real physical disability, and let's say Social Security of the state of Illinois has classified you as disabled, and in addition you have developed a problem with alcohol, you might still be a candidate for an 811 building, but not because of your alcoholism. It will be because you have a physical disability that SSA or the state of Illinois, or both, have recognized as such.
So if you're in a wheelchair and you like to drink heavily, it's the wheelchair usage that will get you in.
It's the wheelchairs that will get you in. If alcoholism is the only problem, that will keep you out of an 811.
Oh, okay, okay.
And you'll have to look at the list of disabled housing on the HUD Illinois website, or talk to a housing counselor to learn which of the 811s accept both the physically and the mentally impaired, as opposed to those that specialize in one or the other. Because an 811 building can, with HUD approval, specialize in only the physically disabled or only the mentally disabled, and give preference to one of those two groups, but only if they have HUD approval to do so.
Oh, now there's one other question I wanted to bring up. We are going to go into a different area now for a second, but before that I wanted to ask, a person who has mental problems but is fairly, has no real problems as long as they're on their medication,
Are they eligible?
Yes.
You'd better speak to the management of the individual Section 811 to see whether or not they will categorize you as disabled. And before you do that, be sure to learn whether or not SSA categorizes you as disabled. Because if you do not have a disabled identity from either SSA or the state of Illinois, an 811 building will probably look at you rather dubiously.
So you have to have this identity. Now, exactly how do you get this identity?
Because you have applied to SSA or the state of Illinois for some form of aid as a disabled person, and because they have contacted licensed medical doctors or others in the field of disabilities.
So
and
there's a
certified.
regular procedure you have to go through, and so that you have a formal designation as a disabled person.
Have a formal designation as a disabled person.
Yeah.
That should be your first step, okay?
Okay, this has been very interesting. We don't have a lot of time left, but I'd like to ask you something about what you're doing right now. That was very interesting.
Now that I'm a disabled person,
Now you have trouble with your eyes.
I have macular degeneration,
Okay.
and therefore was forced onto disability. Now that I am disabled, I'm doing a great deal of writing. I'm working on writing a novel, have already written about 150 pages of that. I'm also writing a play. I'm a member of the Access Project, a group of playwrights at the Victory Gardens Theater, and I also provide a little bit of consulting advice on housing here and there.
Oh, very interesting, very interesting. Now, someone who is disabled and wants to be a playwright, how do they get on the Access Project?
They should definitely contact the Victory Gardens Theater, okay, and ask to speak with either Philip Dawkins, who is our artistic director, or Mike Irvin, our administrative director, and they can then guide you from there as to whether or not there are openings available. The group is very welcoming to a wide variety of individuals, but there are some limits on group size. So you would have to speak to either Philip Dawkins or Mike Irvin to know whether or not they're accepting new members at any given time.
Okay, very interesting. So this sounds like you have quite a life going now.
I have quite a life going. However, I would make the final comment as a very important one. In going into any type of HUD subsidized building, make sure you know which is the specific program functioning or funding that building. You can say to me something like, well, don't you pay about 30% of your rent regardless of whether it's 202 or Section 8 or Section 811? Yes, in most of these buildings you will pay 30% of what's called your adjusted gross income. But that doesn't mean the programs are identical. The programs do have differences from one to another, and it's important to know what they are. And in addition, make sure you know how long is this building guaranteed to be subsidized. Okay? Not every subsidized building has the same time length of guarantee. Section 8 buildings have contracts that guarantee the Section 8 subsidy for 15 years at a time. Do not assume automatically that it will be renewed in every case.
So
it probably will, but make sure you know what's going on regarding the funding of that building.
Are there people that will answer these questions for you?
Yes, you should start by asking the management of the building, and if they don't have the answers, then you should contact HUD, or if the building has been subsidized by the Illinois Housing Development Authority, known by its acronym IDA, they should have information for you. And also a HUD certified housing counselor probably will have some of the same information.
Okay, now if you call up a HUD certified counselor, you could ask them, what are the questions I should be asking?
Definitely. They should be able to help you with that. And one of the most important questions I stress is, what is the category of subsidy that is funding this particular building?
Okay, category of subsidy. Now, what do you mean by that?
Is it Section 8?
Oh,
is
okay.
it Section 202? Or is it Section 811? know the category, and learn, in the case of that particular building, at the time you apply, how long is the subsidy guaranteed to run?
Okay, this is all very interesting, and I hope people have, who are watching this have taken some notes on this, because it can be very helpful to you, and it's been very helpful to us. And
I'm glad to be of help, and if you have any further questions, find a HUD certified counselor or contact an organization of disability rights such as Chicago Adapt. Perhaps they might even send you to me.
Okay, very good, very good. Well, we thank you very much.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you.